the video. Now we're recording. Hey, yo, peace. What up? I'm Guerilla Will. This is the Thread Count podcast, along with Funk and Focus. This live stream podcast, whatever, will contain explicit language. So if you have kids near you, move them.
Word. Hey, yo, check it out. Welcome, like Will said, to the Thread Count podcast. Yo, this is, what episode is this, damn it?
9.
Yeah. Shit.
Yeah, we're on 8 for Funk and Focus.
Nice.
Oh, shout out to that, yo.
Lined up.
But how would y'all before us? But I.
We'll talk about that later. Yeah, yo, episode 9. We got the special guests in the building. We got some of our leaders from Assassin's Crew here with us today.
Yeah, me.
Very, very honored to have discussions and very, very ready to laugh a whole bunch, as you can already tell. So, peace to all our people following us on live stream. Peace to the Funk and Focus YouTube and Dialog page. So, without further ado, we want to bring in and welcome future Iron Man, House, and Rashaad.
Yeah, me.
Get it? Y'all say what up, yo.
What up?
What's up, y'all? Wait, is the video and the mics?
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
Shit.
Hey, yo, I forgot, yo. We didn't show them how we do personally. Oh, word. So, I'm Guerilla Will, a.k.a. the Amish DMC. You know what I'm saying? What's going on?
The Amish DMC, oh my God, yo.
Mordecai. You know what I mean?
See, man.
What do you say after that?
I
We just shut down right now. Like,
You gotta be
I gotta think about that. Like, what does that mean for us?
Oh, man. Hey, yo,
I gotta get the
you already know who it is, man. I'm Decimus, a.k.a. the light-skinned apostle.
Hey, man. Hey, yeah, that'll work. That'll do it. What? Hey, Rashaad's next.
All right. I'm Rashaad, a.k.a. Charlie Mack.
Yeah. I'm just gonna keep it me. Russell Campbell, aka Iron Man.
Boo.
That's what it is. So you gotta give him a name, right?
Oh, Russ? Nah. Oh, yeah, it's Jamocha Shake right there, B.
Jamocha Shake.
If you want to know why, DM Russ will tell you why.
Yeah. Me?
Yeah.
Okay. Ryan, Future, aka the Great White Hope.
Oh, my
Yes. Yes.
Sit in our color gradient. Great White Hope.
Oh, God.
It went like it's scale to the right.
Yo, but no, it goes all the way around. Well played, yo.
What you got? What you got, brother?
I'm Junious, aka Miss Me with that shit.
That works.
You know what I'm saying? And we out here, yo. Like, just like that, yo.
Mm-hmm.
So, check it out, yo. Like, as we always do, we'll go through a little bit of our programming per usual. We'll forego a couple certain things because we are merging with the Funk and Focus podcast. So, we want to make sure that we're, incorporating both of our ideas and doing it both of our ways and having fun that way. So, but we'll still jump straight into our shout outs and big up some people in the scene, in the world, and wherever we feel like doing so. So, anybody got some shout outs that they want to throw out there for some people or things?
I'll go. Yo, big up, shout out to Hikari, yo. Shout out to Hikari. She was out all this weekend at the show, at the club, putting in hella work. Like, you're dope. And you're going to get doper if you keep messing around with these people. I'm not going to say what kind of people I was going to call them just now, but
Exactly.
they solid though.
Exactly.
Yeah, big ups, big ups.
Let's see. Let's go legacy. Damon Frost, Steen, Kroner, Thomas Herod, Locksmith, Anthony. I'll stick there. Out of control family.
Word.
Word. Out of control family. Shoot. I'm gonna go. I'm gonna shout out. Back in Portland, they just had a huge jam called Breakaway. They had a bunch of heads come through. They gave $1,000 grand prize. And I was not there for it. I was on this side, but from the looks of it and from what people were talking about, it was a major success. And they didn't sell out for it. They used local community people as well as people from outside of the community. So it seems like they did it right, and it seems like it went well. So shout out to Breakaway.
Word up.
Word up. Shout out to all the people who are just throwing down in the scene, who aren't scared to battle and use that tool as, a way to grow and, push this culture a little bit further. Also, shout out to all the students who participated in the inter-semester showcase. It's hard work, and, they all put down some hard work and showed out. So the next showcase is going to be coming up in about 4 months. So I'm excited to see what our students are going to bring to the table with the new semester starting tomorrow.
Oh,
Word up.
oh. Yeah, definitely. That's definitely a shout out that needs to happen. The UA Academy, you know what I'm saying? Urban Artistry Academy, putting in work, staying consistent. I just wanted to piggyback off that. That was dope. Seeing that showcase yesterday was dope. It really made me feel good. See the youth especially do that, but then even adults, stuff like that are trying to, have somewhere to express, and that they do have somewhere to express, and then taking advantage of that and taking it further is really inspiring to see. So yeah, piggyback off that shout out for sure.
Word up.
Yeah.
Anybody else?
Yeah, so shout out to Assassins Global family. Shout out to Sour Patch. Shout out to Soul Shifters. Y'all keep your head up.
I just learned it's not cool to sing along after that.
I thought about it. I was like, should I do something?
Yeah, I was waiting for get that backhand ready. Stop, man.
Papa, no.
Yeah, shout out. I'm gonna go back to Urban Artistry. Shout out to the whole Urban Artistry, all the teachers, all the instructors who helped build, that end of semester showcase, and also filling for the guys who are always traveling and working for us. Shout out to y'all. Thank you for that. That's dope.
For sure. Yeah,
Word, yo. By the way, this is also live on YouTube, so if you have any questions, send them over to the YouTube page, and it is the Funk and Focus YouTube. Yes,
Yep.
yes.
Funk and Focus YouTube.
FunkandFocusYouTube.com. We're live there as well. If you have any questions, we're fielding questions. If it's a dumb question, we're not Ryan. We'll call it dumb. So,
yo,
be weird.
Yeah, I just scroll through them.
Yeah. We value all of you. Thank you all for watching, but we're assholes at the end of the day. So.
I was about to say, explicit content don't just mean curse words.
It don't.
You know what I'm saying? We be out here.
No doubt.
Speaking of explicit content.
Word, yo. So, if you've never listened to the Thread Count podcast, we have something every week we do called Shut the Fuck Up. And it's a section where we talk about whack things that happen in the scene, in the news, and, the general world at large. And this week, we give it to, here in D.C., they had the Native Americans March. Don't let me get that wrong. Native Americans March on Washington at the Lincoln Memorial. Native tribes from all over the world came in and marched in solidarity. And it was a really, really nice event. Thousands of people came out. But towards the end, 3 charter buses from Bumblefuck, Kentucky, full of children, wearing MAGA hats, came and started harassing the natives who were just there peacefully marching. I don't know if you know this, but Washington, D.C. and Kentucky are not close. Somebody paid good money for 3 charter buses and a bunch of whack hats to drive all the way across the country and be assholes. There's one in particular, I don't know the kid's name. He had a really stupid shit-eating grin on his face the whole time. And he was harassing a Vietnam War veteran who was Native American. And the dude was being really peaceful. Nobody got in homie's face. And to kind of like, get a rise out of people and kind of get patted on the balls by his friends, he decided to get in this man's face and just be the most condescending asshole I've ever seen in my entire life. And that's saying a lot because I live in the South. So there's that. But essentially, man, like it's getting really tired really fast. Like that was a person who fought for our country. You might think it's just your country, but it ain't, and it hasn't been for a long time, and it won't ever be again. So deal with that. Yeah, man, I'm kind of done talking about that. Anybody else have anything you want to add about it?
Yeah, these were high school kids. Did we point that out? Like,
oh yeah, that's why they couldn't get hit in the mouth because they were high school kids
from Covington Catholic High School.
Catholic high school?
Yeah, bro.
That's even worse. Yo, they got paddles and shit.
You know what I'm saying? Like, so it's not even like these were like adults showing up. You know what I mean? Like these were kids. So like, like thinking in those terms of like, how do they? I mean, sure they're in high school, so they're able to, very well think on their own, but they, to a certain degree, like they had to be taught this, like they had to like see this from somebody else to think this is just okay to do, especially travel somewhere and do this like blatantly. You know what I'm saying? Like, that's learned behavior. That's not like that's not just some shit that we sit around as high school kids and think about going to do. You know what I'm saying? Like,
right.
And so I think that's like a huge dynamic that needs to be pointed out, is that like aside from it just being wrong in the first place, like it's like extra wrong because of shit like that. You know what I mean? Like, and so yeah, that's my like a little bit of my thoughts behind it. It's just like, damn, dude, like kids, like
yeah.
And then I think I even saw behind the one kid. If you look up the video, I'm looking at it right now. Behind the one kid that was just grilling the elder, his name was Nathan Phillips, the elder's name. And I think even like if you look behind that kid, you'll see like 2 other or 3 other kids that look like they're like no older than 12.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Like, so that kind of stuff just hurts. It really does. Like,
it does. I mean, and we're in a time where we're in week 4 of federal employees not being paid. Yo!
What's up?
Special guest.
Hey, peeps.
Toyin's in the joint.
Hey.
We're in the middle of telling somebody to shut the fuck up. We got you in like 2 seconds.
Uh-huh.
So, we're in the middle of week 4 of a government shutdown where a person that you idolize makes sure people don't get paid for whatever small thing he has going on in the back of his head. So you could have took all that manpower and put it towards something and made it mean something, but instead you just want to make a really dumb gesture to look cool for your friends and all the people at your clan meetings. So, with all that being said, on behalf of us to you, we hand you a hearty shut the fuck up. Cool. I meant that, yo. That's from the bottom, man.
I felt it.
I did.
Because you clicked the button.
I did.
I wanted to hear it when I couldn't hear it. It's like, all right.
But it's there though.
Yeah, I felt
it's there.
I mean, to kind of add to that, there wasn't a lot of there was not a lot of media presence. I went down there. I was a part of the march, so we walked, from the back of the reflection pool all the way up to the front. And, you know, people were expressing themselves over the microphone, and a lot of powerful things were said about, like, you know, bringing people together, and also, like, just continuing to, like, support the Native communities as well. But there weren't, like, major cameras out there. So when this very negative situation happened, that was, like, the biggest media coverage from somebody's cell phone that was about this march. So what I would like to see going forward is, you know, more people next year knowing that this march will be happening again one day before the Women's March. So mark that on your calendars, show up so the numbers are there. So, you know, elders like, you know, this guy, he came out there and he's playing his drum, isn't just kind of left there by himself, that he has support from a greater community of people that can allow him to feel like not by himself. Yeah. Technically, the march was over when that situation happened, but he was still he still felt the need to play his drum and allow his hand drum to speak. So having that space to do so. We've also done a couple events in urban artistry in that same space, and people come there all the time with different ideas and you know, protests happening in that space. So it's kind of like you don't know what other people's agendas are. So yeah, that being said, like, I just hope more people will come next year, you know, and support, like, you know, our Native brothers and sisters who are about their purpose and cause, and giving them that support will mean so much, you know, just in general, you know, to those people, especially when we're the same type of people who want to ask for support from our communities as well. We need it. So,
Absolutely.
Word up.
DMV, stand up. Step up. Step up. For real.
So, a new challenger has entered the arena. You know what I'm saying? Big ups to our sister Toyin. You know what I'm saying? Fresh off of winning every damn thing everywhere else. You know what I'm saying? So go ahead and introduce yourself real quick. And you got to give them an AKA. You can't just be Toyin. You got to be something else.
Okay. I can do that.
There you do, yo.
Hey, you guys. I'm Oluwa Toyin Suguro, aka Toyin. Yeah, so I'm a part of Assassin's Crew. Also a part of Urban Artistry, one of the artistic directors. What else? I'm from the DMV area. What else did you guys say? I don't know.
No, you need a real AKA.
AKA, these are my positions.
Oh, for this episode.
Yeah.
Ooh.
It's got. He was the Great White Hope. Like, and what were you again?
I was the High Yellow Apostle.
The High Yellow Apostle.
I'm the Amish DMC. This is Charlie Mack.
Charlie Bag.
Charlie Mack.
Y'all gotta give me one. I don't know.
Oh, there we go.
It's not the same.
Yeah, you messed up now. Uh-oh.
I plead the fifth. I'm straight.
Oh.
Let's go. We'll double back.
Yeah, we'll
double
come
back.
back.
Let me think.
Word. Well, here at the on Thread Count, you know, we're foolish. That's that. But on the Funk and Focus page, they do dialogues almost every Sunday.
Yeah.
And they cover topics very eloquently and intellectually. We're going to try to blend that with a good amount of ratchet to make sure y'all get everything you need. But for those of y'all who don't know, Assassins is not from DC, but Assassins DC Urban Artistry, they are from here in DC. X and I were in Virginia Beach, which is about 4 hours south of here, and they were very instrumental. It depends on what day it is. And they were all very instrumental in you know, maintaining us artistically as mentors, teachers, really good friends. They also made sure that our scene never died out by holding us down and always, you know, being accountable and being there for us. So we appreciate them for that.
Absolutely.
Oh shit!
Oh.
You gonna make me talk disrespectful to you on this camera, bitch?
All right, do it.
Nah.
Getting all emotional in this motherfucker.
I'm actually alright right now, but
Right now.
I hate y'all too. But we have them here, and it's wild because for those of you who don't know, and I'm gonna say it, and if you don't like it, you can. I'll tell you what to do with it later. These are some of the most well-rounded and decorated dancers on the planet, who are all together, still working in their communities, still teaching classes, still helping people, and they're still better than all of y'all. So,
motherfuckers.
I mean, so here's the thing, right? The way I feel about it is, ain't nobody gonna do nothing about it. Like, okay. First question of the day, yo. Name one multi-style crew who's better than Assassins right now. Unbiased. Here we go.
Wait, what kind of question is that? No.
Unbiased.
No.
Unbiased.
We can open that up.
Yeah.
Open it up.
We can do that. We can do that.
This whole video is propaganda.
We can do that. Exactly. Don't say that out loud, though. The question stands.
Should we look and see if people
Yeah,
wrote something on
what
there?
do people say? That's what they think.
Anybody say nothing on him?
Is this Hi, Future, and Rashaad, sir?
Wow.
Will,
I just got a whole bunch of joints.
Oh yeah, I don't have anything on here.
Ain't no question.
Nah,
Ain't nobody answer that either.
Ain't nobody answer.
All right,
That's controversial.
let's give it some time. Maybe it's gonna
We
think about it.
Nah, damn, man.
What crews do you want to see Assassins battle?
Who? Good one.
Which crews do you want to see us battle? Maybe if you give a good enough suggestion, we can make it happen.
Wanted Posse, I'm done.
Wanted Posse?
I want to see it.
I think that'd be nice. Yo.
That'd be tight, yo. Hey, yo, the majority
All
of
principle,
the
huh?
majority of y'all will be in France anyway. So I mean, you know, this, you know,
They want the posse, where you at?
But
worldwide beef.
This battle should be like no time limit. It should just be a crew battle with like an organic DJ just spinning like it's a club.
Oh, that'd be crazy.
Different genres, but let it just keep going for a long time. Just film the whole thing.
That'd be tight.
You know.
That'd be
I
real.
want to, what I want to see actually is the footage from when y'all smoked the brakes off of Criminals Crew.
Oh! I tried to find the footage.
That was Summer Dance Forever 2016? 2016.
Yeah.
How did that even? Let's.
This one's
No.
coming into.
Look, I just want to know how it started, how it went down, you know, like.
I don't even remember exactly how it happened. I just know I was hot and I was ready to dance. I think they were already dancing in the cypher.
You were battling one of the twins, and then
Yeah.
the other crewmate backed him up, and then that's what we came.
When you
with.
guys came in too.
Mm.
Yeah.
There was cameras because they had a flashlight.
Oh yeah, people were definitely.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
Flash.
Yeah, because it was dark. It was like it was a club. They turned it like at the after party,
Yeah.
and so they came with the flashlight from the phone
Right.
and then filmed it.
Someone had
Somebody
Uh-huh.
had the footage.
Yeah.
If you had the footage,
The whole time too?
Most of it.
Most of it?
20 minutes. It was like a long
Yeah, it
battle.
was
Uh-huh.
Nice.
if you have the footage, send to threadcount73@gmail.com. We will send you a Book of Styles T-shirt.
That's when, which one of the twins was it? We were battling? I don't even know, but
The black
one
one.
of them called me a biter for doing Memphis Jukin'. But in his mind, I was biting him because he has taken things from Memphis Jukin'. It was like, I was like,
That's
wow.
deep.
Really?
Like
That's
it's
deep.
twisted, you know, like you don't
Yeah.
even really do that style.
Yeah.
You don't really know those guys, but you took some of the moves and you mess with the toe stuff, and then if someone else does actual Memphis juking, then that's biting. I was like that's what stuck. That was one of the things that stuck with me, irritation from the battle. I was like, oh my god, like that was so frustrating.
So do we feel like the business was finished or is it unfinished? Is my question.
I don't even remember how it ended. How did it end?
I think if there's no footage, it's ended.
Nobody want that smoke to get out. Word.
Yeah, but it's, man, you can go back and there's a billion times, you know, when shit like that has happened, you know, like where people like things just popped off like in a spot and people would, you know, like battle. Like there's a lot of lost footage out there.
Yeah.
Some yeah.
Me and Rashaad battled the Dave Scott and those dancers from Step Up, and they were recording that in Baltimore.
Sky Lounge.
Sky Lounge.
We battled them.
I would like
Word.
A long time.
There's unnamed footage of Rashaad and a dancer from Korea that's on footage that I don't think came out.
Yeah, it's come out.
Oh, it did?
Yeah, every time you see him dance since then. Same thing. Dude, it was a clinic.
It was.
Like, dude, that dude, he got like 10 years of like good foundation he been using. Yeah, I said it.
That's great.
Wait, we have that footage. Someone has that footage.
We do, yo.
It's like an hour of Rashaad.
No, we have it.
Yeah.
Yeah, we have it.
So just in case anybody ever talks crazy, that's footage.
Yeah, that's what I said. Look,
Yeah.
it's recorded. Y'all be slipping. Y'all think that they ain't got fucking video. Like, you know, people be talking smack and talking about what they did, you know, how they were. Like, we ain't got video.
Shashu said Bob and Andre versus Tempo outside on the one.
What?
Bob and Andre versus Tempo at on the one.
What's that got to do with anything?
No,
Like
he's at
a
battle.
battle that has footage that.
Oh, like that. Okay, sorry. My bad.
Dude, you trying to battle him?
You got the heat.
Trying to battle Shashu? Oh God! Like, what you say?
My bad.
Oh, your turn. Respond, man.
You all mad type of shit.
Swipe left. Swipe left.
Piece of Shashu. He said it was a dope battle, but there's no footage. Shit like that.
So if we're talking about like if we're like on that kind of subject or in that realm, like what would you guys say are some of your most memorable battles, whether it be in the club, in a regular cipher, or in the actual competition? You know what I'm saying? Like, for personally, your most memorable. Excuse me.
Memorable.
That's a good one. Sean?
Yeah, just so many.
I think it was fun when we would be at 18th Street Lounge and like we would all battle against like people that would come in town sometimes. Like when some people from either Baltimore or Philly or whatever, and we just all like battle each other. You know,
that's
That battle at Tropicalia. Remember? It was us against those guys from what's the name of that crew?
from Congo. Wait, from the Congo.
Yeah, from the Congo.
oh, that was
That was a dope battle.
In Congo.
Yeah,
They was here for what were they here for?
they were here for some other work, you know, and they did a night.
Okay, so what happened is they were traveling and they tried to put them up against everybody in each city. So they came here and they were like, okay, what's the crew around here that everybody wants to go at? So they asked us to come. It was a bad night. So yeah, Gabe was in the club.
Oh God.
Desmond, Deanna, you know, all of us. Yeah, it was on.
Yeah.
That's trouble.
You know, I mean, that talks to a different subject about like just that tradition of getting down and showing and proving. You know, like it's like everything's connected to some business plan. You know what I mean? Like everybody wants to hide, you know, and not be public facing, you know, with their art, you know, but everybody's cultured. I don't know. I don't get it. Like, it's something that's missing about it. Like, I mean, like, I hate to be that guy, but I remember a time when that's how we communicated. Like, one person never said, oh, this person's the dopest, you know, like, oh, this person's the shit, you know. No, it was like the community said that, like, because it was time tested. Like, they knew that these people were putting in the work. Like, and they stood up for what they believed in artistically, and they did that at a certain level, you know. So you couldn't just have a good night, you know. You had to have a good month, you know.
Yeah.
you had to have a good year of, like, you know, killing it, and then people showed you respect for that. Like, even when you disagreed, you know, even when you disagreed about some other shit, they'd be like, yeah, I don't want to choke that motherfucker right now. But she dope though. Like, when she moves, that's a different thing. That integrity, you know, I miss that. You know, I miss that. Like, now it's like you go to a club right now, and it's like people who are staples there in the spot, getting down, like, expressing themselves, and then, like, there's tourists on the outside, you know, just sitting around, like, watching, trying to see what they can snag, so they can go back to the studio and work on their new choreography. You know? And then don't speak to you. like just come into ciphers, like, and don't speak, don't dap up, you know? Just going out. They come in with all their, like, fear and energy and just puke all over the floor, you know? And then when somebody comes out and smokes them, they're like, oh, you're so aggressive. Why aren't you sharing the space? You know? Oh my God.
I mean,
Talk about that shit, yo.
You in?
I think too, you know, what's really missing is like this kind of thing of like a community that backs you, you know,
Yeah.
and people that support you, you know, coming up to a place like deep, you know, people don't have that anymore where people are just solo by themselves. So the integrity and the fear is always around. You just have a group of people that's just so fearful that they don't have anybody to be like, yo, I got your back. You know?
But I think part of the fear comes from the fact that you saw, you know, like, these two are the most bit dudes I've ever seen. You know, like, you see these guys dance, and then you go practice what they did last month, and then you show up to the club, and then you put it out like it's brand new, like we haven't seen that before. Yeah. And then you expect, like, nobody to say anything like that didn't happen.
Right.
Yeah. You know, so when the conversation is like, these guys have been practicing and training, and they're working on the next ideas, that, you know, those movements are already, you know, it's already old news.
Yeah.
It's same ingredients, no seasoning, yo. Like, you can read a recipe, but it don't mean it's gonna come out right, bro. Like, not if you ain't got, you know.
Right. And then it also speaks to the respect side of it.
Yeah.
You know, because they're seeking the respect, and they think that it should be given because you bit somebody. Like, no.
I mean, people are just uneducated about how healthy community works.
Right.
Like, and people don't try to, like, they don't try to accomplish that. You know, like, they're trying to accomplish fame and fortune, you know, like, it's like in every, like, I go online and I'm watching everything that's going on in, like, communities that I visit. And in almost every community, there's a young group of people coming up wanting to do something, you know, under the premises of bringing the community together.
Sure.
So
Pause.
no, I mean, really, you're gonna bring the community together by having an event on the same day as 5 other events, you know, but you're bringing people together.
Right.
Like, you know, like if you, in DC specifically, if you've been in this area doing stuff for 5 years, you are still a decade in the hole of people doing things and communities that always exist. You know, under that guise of bringing communities together, what they're actually doing is trying to say, no, we have a different alternative. we have a safe space. Please come here. Please feel welcome. And please, let's all get together and just stalemate artistically. But hey, we're all here together pretending. We'll let you pretend. Yeah, we won't even say anything. Just as long as you keep paying us and you keep coming to our events.
Yeah.
So you paying them to be whack.
I mean, the only way for them to build their confidence up out of that fear is to isolate themselves.
That's right.
You know, and then feed each other cotton candy of like, you know, like affirmations and whatever fucking self-help group shit they're talking to each other, you know, to build their
flex bombs over here.
Yeah, I mean, that's just what people do. Like in that isolation, you can say all kinds of shit to build up your ego until you can get enough strength to come out into the world and go, look at what I'm doing. And that you were doing that shit by yourself with those 5 people in a room and nobody gave a fuck, you know?
Yeah.
Right.
Like, that's not community building.
Yeah.
And that's where all that fear comes from. So when we go out to clubs and we go to jams and all that, you see that and they just project it, you know? And so as soon as you come in and you're overconfident or you feel a certain way about yourself, you come in, like we used to come in with what, 20 of us?
Yeah.
We were the hoodies and backpacks.
We've had, I mean, the extreme. I mean, we had ice cream thrown at us at jams.
Cigarettes, people spitting,
I'm talking about
everything.
Over the cipher.
And we're the only multicultural group. Every other group was either all Asian or all Asian. You know? And that was it. And then for us, we had a couple extra colored folks, you know, so I get it. When you see a couple extra colored folks, they're like, huh?
Semi-colored.
Semi.
I mean,
Well, let's start. You see the
used.
But like our group was still
The colorway got thrown off.
but we still represented. We represented like a holistic ethnic group of people, you know, in movement, in thought, and this scene in DC was never that.
Yeah.
You know, and that was, I think, the most memorable battle. Us as a group, like showing up to shit and people being like, "What the fuck? Why y'all so together?" That was a thing. Why were you together? What are we supposed to be? I'm only speaking to you. I don't want to speak to everybody. Nah, this is my tribe. Like, you talking about?
Looks like we got some people chiming in.
Who that?
There we go.
Somebody named Ty says, I'd like to give a shout out to Rashaad. He's a great teacher.
Yeah.
Kwame Reed says, let's name names. I'm trying to see shit go crazy.
Slot.
I like that.
Oh, you can see here. Okay. I mean...
So, hold up. Let's not throw jokes, man. This is serious, you know. So I mean, look,
the fear's already there.
The fear, yeah.
Because Rashaad pointed on something important. You know, like if you have a whole bunch of these, like, you know, predominantly like non-black groups, and then they see black, you know what I'm saying, black people walk in the room, then there's already a fear. You know what I mean? Like off jump.
But does that have to do with dance, or does that have to do with something else?
Something else.
dude. Look, it's simple. Like, when people don't respect themselves or value what they do, they ain't gonna give a shit about anybody else. And the whole point, you know, of like what we started with urban artistry was to respect people and where they came from, in the music, in the movement that was important to them, that they celebrated.
Right.
You know, it doesn't matter if you're from Ireland or Mongolia or Cameroon. You know, like, you have a music, you have a movement, and you have culture, and some of that stuff is embodied. You know, you don't always know. You didn't like train or go to class for that. It's just embodied in you. But if nobody ever teaches you that that's important and that's valuable, you out in the world trying to be everything else until something clicks. You're trying on everything until something clicks. And when people don't have that, they hate people who got it. Mm-hmm. When they see it in other people, it makes them feel smaller. Mm-hmm. You know? Mm-hmm. Like, so when they see you, like, living, being 100%, they mad as hell. Like, they're like, oh, yeah. And then they start making up shit that's not about dance at all. Now it's about your character.
Exactly.
You know?
Exactly.
And now they want to tear you down.
That too, yeah.
You know, it never ceases to amaze me, but you can see it. You can see it in people's eyes. Like when they just haven't self-actualized, you know, and they trying to be something that they can't connect with easily. And then here you are, like trying to get a bunch of other people who are just as lost to come and be lost with your ass.
Yeah.
You know? So you guys can just screw up everybody's community and create chaos for everyone because you're not happy with yourself.
Touch a little bit on
Junious Brickhouse, unplugged.
Okay, so a lot of people outside of America aren't aware of this, but we are still segregated in America now. Like, we grow up in different neighborhoods. Where I grew up, my high school was 95% white, probably like 15 black, 15 Asian, like not a lot. So people grow up not really understanding each other's cultures or not having to like be around different types of people a lot of the time. Not always, but basically, I just lost my train of thought.
Let him use you. Let him use you.
Lost my train of thought.
Let him use you.
I mean, you started by saying like a lot of people from outside the states don't realize that we're still segregated in the states. You know, like, and you were kind of piggybacking off of what House was saying.
But I had a point and I lost it. I had a good point.
Let's go come back.
Okay, I know what I was trying to do. I was trying to talk from like the white perspective, right? Like growing up in an area where there's no diversity and you don't understand different cultures, and yeah, I lost it.
It's all good.
Someone take it. It's gonna come back to me.
So, I got you. So as a white male in America,
How did it work for you? Because you said you went to a predominantly white, school, neighborhood, all of that. Like, how did you educate yourself? How did it work for you?
Yeah, I mean, dance taught me that, but I didn't isolate myself like the way other people do it. Like I was more open-minded or something, but I also found like good mentors that actually talked about race and talked about those types of issues. And being in urban artistry, of course, learn about the history and the culture, like it made me realize so much that it's a cultural dance, it's a black dance, and coming with respect and an open mind is important. So I think I just aligned with the right people to understand that type of mentality, but if you never surround yourself with those types of people, then you'll never think like that, and they don't really have a reason to. So the dancing is segregated the same way we are segregated in our little suburbs and the cities. The dancing is the same thing. Like people just align with oh, that makes me feel uncomfortable because I've never been around that type of person that talks like that or jokes like that or dances like that. So it's race affects the way we grow up segregated. It affects the way we act in the dance. And if we don't respect our own... Oh, I remember now. Yeah. Okay. Go. You said...
That was the whitest thing you could have done.
Hey, guys! Bring it in! Sorry, y'all gonna make him forget again.
You got it.
If you don't respect... If you're not taught to respect yourself, then you'll never be able to respect someone else's culture. What I wanted to talk about was the white perspective of how we grow up being taught that you're just white. You don't learn that, these people were from this country and that means this. They might say, you're part German, French, Swedish, this, but you don't know what that means. You're not connected to your tradition from Europe. So which means that if you're just white, if you just know we're white, then that's just a way of saying, this is great. We're white. We don't have to learn about any of our traditions.
I definitely
Then you don't respect other cultures.
But then
just thought you're white.
But then if you look at it and you're saying white, that's a racial construct, right? So as saying that I'm white in the United States in this racial construct means that you're saying you're the people who don't get to be property.
Yeah.
See, because if you're black, you get to be property, right? And that's what racism, that's what that construct did. It decided who can be owned, who had rights and who didn't. So, like, I'm not saying that, like, white against black. That's not what I'm saying. I'm saying I hate racism. So I despise the construct. So, like, even if someone's like, hey, yeah, I don't know what ethnicities I am, you know, or where my places of origins are, you know, that doesn't mean that you still can't reflect on something other than something that's filled with hate, like racism, you know? Yeah. Like, and that's part of the problem, you know, that people see it like we buy into it. Like, I'm working hard. My whole life I've been, like, trained to refer to myself as black. And I'm getting to the point right now where I don't want to do it anymore. I want to say I'm African American, as I still search and try to figure out what my story is and what's that of my ancestors. But I know it's not that thing that they gave me. I know I'm not property. Like, so that's the sickness that we got to undo. Like, I understand the cause. I'm saying, like, how can we, like, undo it? My suggestion is that we try to find something out deeper than what's surface about who we are, you know, ethnically, you know? And to me, that same, like, idea works with dance, you know? So it doesn't matter, like, if I'm a popper, you know, I can like locking too. I can love house dance too. I can feel connected to that. I can be connected to, like, you know, b-boying or b-girling. Like, all of these things can be me. Like, most of us as Americans anyway are mixed. And most of us just don't know. Like, you look at science, you know, science tells you one thing. Our oral histories and our written histories here are so unorganized, you know, because people didn't care. So now we have all of these things that we just got to kind of sort out, you know, when on a day-to-day, like, real-time shit, like interacting with people. Like, I don't come in a club. I've never been in a club in my life and just bum rush somebody's cipher, you know, and didn't think that people would be uncomfortable. When I'm having a conversation with you and somebody runs into the room and just gets between us, we go, hey, you know this person?
Right.
You know, you're not a part of this dialogue. You know, like, you're not a part of what we're doing here. Like, introduce yourself. Say hello. Just because I come to said club, said spot, doesn't mean that I render myself helpless to whatever you need to excite yourself with that day. Like,
You better, goddamn.
Yo, come on.
Yo, go ahead, yo.
as entertainers, like, don't y'all feel like people treat you like that sometimes? Like, you're just here to, like, entertain. Like, oh, you're a dancer. Oh, I heard you're a good dancer. I need to learn something from you. Hey, show me something. I'll show you something.
Facts.
I'll show you something, all right.
If you get my drift.
If you know what I mean.
I said that
I feel like that even kind of plays into, like, minstrelsy too. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like,
Minstrelsy.
you know, tap dance for me. You know what I'm saying? Like,
I can't tap dance.
Well, it just goes to say there's the standardized testing of urban dance. You know, where everybody has to select, you know, I'm a b-boy, I'm a hip-hop dancer, I'm a house dancer, or there's no crossover with things that are brown. That doesn't make any sense.
Yeah.
right.
You know, like, and in the history, you go back and you're just looking at the footage and you're just like, wow, there's so many similarities in the Charlie Rock and the Charleston.
Oh, my God.
You know, there's so many similarities in Boogaloo and like shouting in church. You know, like, there's so many similarities in all of these topics. But, you know, people are they play to the white, black, you know, the standardized testing. So when you first start dance, you have to select something that locks you into something.
Right,
you know.
right.
So if we're just beginning dance and they're like, oh yeah, you're a b-boy, that's what you embody. That's all you're gonna hold yourself to. That's why you have so many, like, b-boys that are, I'm gonna hold this and I'm gonna hold, that's all they know of the dance in themselves. So when they see something else, whether it be an influence of the dance, they shy away from it, and it kills their learning, right? So they're mad because they don't get props, in certain areas or arenas where other people are surpassing because they're growing in other ways and other dances that still come from the same community.
Yeah, well, they decided that's on them. They just decided to be strictly b-boy,
Right.
and that's what they got. You know,
It's crazy, but when you look at the elders, if you just investigate, you watch any of them dance, and you see they have so much movement in them.
Mm-hmm.
There's so much music going on, and they're not like specialty. Like name any one, and all of them can do multiple movements.
Mm-hmm.
You know, stretch, house, hip hop, locking, popping. You know, Pop Tart, he's strutting. You know, he's boogalooing. He can do so much. You know. Hip hop, like most of the elders, you know, especially in the States, are usually doing multiple things. So it's crazy that they missed that part because of this standardized or this dance school approach. You know, you have to be this, so I can say that you're. It's kind of like the, how do I want to put it? Like putting a label on you. And once you have this label, then I can sell you. I can brand you. You're worth something now.
yeah.
Oh,
Slang to the name.
And when we were in China, they were asking, well, are you a popper? And I'm like, I mean, I could pop. Yeah. I do that when I choose to, but I dance.
right.
What are you?
Right.
And I show them a picture of my grandmother and my mom. This is where I got that. I dance. Oh, huh? Wait, what do you mean? Okay, you know, so.
Because the label erases that history.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly.
That's
Yeah,
right.
yeah, yeah.
Where, yo, that's why you can do things like having classes called Fortnite dance and people not blink an eye at it.
There you go.
Yeah, or confidence hip hop.
You're lying. That's
I had to
not,
make that up.
that's not real.
There was
It's a real
confidence
thing.
hip
That's
hop.
the real
It's
thing.
a real thing.
It was a real
Austin
thing.
and I had a conversation about it.
Confidence
Like
hip
it was
hop.
in like
Not Nelson.
I saw it at Millennium Dance Complex. It was
Confidence in that.
it was advertised for that studio, Confidence Hip Hop. So pretty much they have this format where they try to teach you more confidence in your dance and in your hip hop dance.
Correct.
You know what I'm
Make it till you
saying?
make it kind of thing.
Pretty much.
Hey, yo, real quick,
What?
this conversation is getting really good. I just got to say, we have about 7 minutes left on our Instagram live streams. If you want to jump to the Funk and Focus YouTube, all the questions and everything will be answered from there because these are going to cut off very soon.
And
We'll
I
be
can
solely on
I
that.
can switch the what's your thread count live stream. I can switch it to my personal profile at Professore_Decimus PROF
Fucking alphabet, dude. Why didn't you just say that? Like,
PROFOR.
Professor with an E, Decimus.
Professor with an E_DECIMUS.
MOUSC.
And that reminds me, we can go to Funk and Focus Instagram on mine.
Boom.
Word, yo. So just, it'll pop up on
So
the
catch
top
the
of your shit.
switch. You know what I'm saying?
We have one question from Instagram from my phone die.
Okay.
It's from Hikari. She said, number one, happy birthday, Toyin.
Thank
Hey,
you.
hey, right? And what are ways we can unite the dance communities in the DMV area? What efforts can dancers in the DMV area make to build a stronger dance community?
don't be an asshole.
Ooh.
Like, no, it's like really, like basic social skills. Like, you know, if you don't know people, get to know them. Like, if you're just judging people based on other things that people said, or because of what your assumption was about how they danced in a cipher or a conversation they had with someone other than you, like, then you might be part of the problem.
Right.
It's not up to the community as a whole to like cater to individuals. It's up to individuals to decide how to create community. And if you're not a active participant in said community, whichever community there needs to be, you know, because the lie is that there's only one. No, there's many communities here in DC, and we're not all the same. And we got to stop faking and acting like we're all the same. But people who are brand new in the game, you know, who want to come up, keep saying that we're the same community because they want to ride off your social capital and they don't want to do the work. No, we are not the same community. If I don't know you, if I ain't high-fived you, if we ain't sat down and had a beer and talk about the economic troubles of Europe, I probably don't know you and you're probably not in my community. Like, just plain and simple. Like, the communities aren't, like, all disjointed.
Right.
They just don't treat each other well when they come together. Like, bottom line. You know, and it's mostly about fear. Like, we went to a joint the other day. Like, and had a great time. You know, like, with each other. But it was hard to get a cipher going. Like, we were taking our turns just going to ciphers, and people, you could see them just kind of fade away and leave the cipher. But to be in a place with all of their people who admire them, to have some new people coming in and dancing with them was like too much for their little egos to handle.
That's what's weird. It's like you put it out there and bring in more people, but yet you only want to select few people.
But that's the lie is they want to bring it all together. What they want to do is create their own community that they can control and that they can be popular and the go-tos. So that's what it's all about. That's not new. That business tactic has been around forever.
A controlled system.
That's all it is. You know? Like a community.
I mean, yo,
What you saying?
we out here,
No, dude, but that shit was hella real, dude. Like, we were sitting there and I was like people we know. Like, they may not be a part of our set, but, you know, we know them and we hang out with them and we show mad love, you know? And here you have people in your spot that are elder to you and have, like, information, and your whole goal is, like, survival. Like, to, like, not be seen in a situation where you're being compared to another dancer. So you trying to, like, in a place full of people, you trying to find a quiet space where you can feel empowered. Because you don't feel empowered by being in a community? What the hell is that?
Sickness.
I think
It is sickness.
I think one of the biggest focuses is that everybody's focusing on how they can be a part of the community instead of figuring out that dancers are not just this one. It's not just about dancers. Like, there's the music.
That's right.
There's the club owners.
That's right.
There's the people who are just watching, who are part of the community. Like, you know, like somebody's auntie and uncle who are like, you know, showing up to the jam. Like, let's put this out there.
All right.
What would the cost of a jam be if everybody's parents came, paid, you know, the cousins came and paid? Would it be all on the dancers to pay for a venue, to pay for the DJ, to pay for the judges' flights? What would that be like? I kind of feel like it would be a little easier if we had, you know, if you came and you brought your family or the people that support you personally to the jam and have them experience something that you're connected to, and then say that you're adding to the community instead of just saying, hey, how can we all, you know, let's all get together, all these people that don't like those guys over there, and then they make me feel really weak because I didn't practice this week, you know, and then what would that look like? That's a new model that, you know, that I don't see people doing at jams. Like, until I see, you know, you bring 5 people and they're all paying $20 to get in, is it a real jam? You know, like,
It's a concert, dude.
Nobody wants to pay.
Yeah,
right?
exactly.
Everybody wants a free ride.
Dude, everybody's poor.
And it's also like you said, it's not just about dance. Like, back home, and this is rare. If there is a MC showcase, the DJ crews are there. The B-boys aren't there because they're all like wild young and they don't really understand the community aspect. But we're there. A lot of other older seasoned dancers are there. MCs, graph writers got black books. Like, it's a whole community thing around hip hop. And then, you know, and it's a big event and we're all enjoying ourselves. But with dance, yo, like it's one dimension, and like y'all aren't even comfortable in said dimension. Like,
Yeah.
There's no like, fam. Like, I got bored. I would host b-boy jams because I mean it's free money essentially, they're boring. They're really boring because nobody dances. I've had more fun dancing in Rashaad's living room than I have at a whole bunch of jams, yo.
Yeah. And I've been, fuck it, I've thrown events where b-boys, like after the b-boy event was done, were complaining that like there was too much other music. Like, yo, like real, like with a straight face.
Like you can't
With a
be
straight
one-
face, feeling within themselves like they're doing themselves in their community a huge service by saying, we just think that there's too much diversity in music here. Could we just diminish that to pots and pans or techno that we can dance to?
like you can't b-boy to Atomic Dog.
There has to be at least 4 more James Brown songs you can play, or lean rock tracks. Yo, we got to talk about that too, yo. I'm sorry.
Before we deviate too hard,
Yeah, go ahead, do that. My fault.
I'm gonna ask this question because it's kind of along the same lines, but it ties back into some stuff we were talking about as well with like UA and like the dynamic of UA and the scene. You know, like so the question was from somebody named Tom Tan.
Oh, damn.
It says, has the trend of how people treat urban artistry as a group or crew like slowly changed over time?
Nah.
Or do you have examples from certain memorable local regions to compare to each other?
So that's a loaded question, but I'm gonna answer it. So check it. And I want everybody to understand this, and I don't say this like out of anger. Like, urban artistry gives 0 fucks about who likes them. Like, urban artistry is not a person with hands and a brain. It's a group of people. And we've never like been about this for the popularity. This isn't a popularity contest. Like, I'm not hurt if you don't want to come to my studio or work with our artists, because they're dope. And they're going to keep getting better. And their students will keep getting better. And they will be well-rounded. And they'll do their best to make an impact positively, like on the scene and on this culture. Like, so there's this myth that like somehow if you get enough stupid people in one room and they point and they say, hey, we don't like those people over there, and try to use mob mentality to change who people are culturally, that will work. That's not the way that works. All of us know how to be who we are. So I don't care. Like, this isn't me saying everybody's mean to us. I don't care. I don't care. You know? You know, my concern is only that I hate to see people diminish their own potential based on bullshit. So, yes, I'm an asshole because... No, hear me out. I'm an asshole because I think more of you than you think of yourself. And I'm trying to push you to be the best that you can be, but you're going to let people tell you to stay away from the people who will help get you to where you want to go?
Mr. Clark, dude.
Dude, miss me with that shit.
What's your name?
So I have a question relating to that. Do you think the disconnect in the community is the fact that you don't need to be liked? whereas everybody else does.
I think that might be the case. That might be the case.
That was a great question.
I mean, I'll be honest. I was in it to be like the beginning.
Right.
You know, when I was 16, 17, when I first started B1, I was like, yo, people like me because I can do windmills and power moves. And then I started to see, like, wow, that it needed to change because I wasn't getting any better. You know what I mean? You know, but I needed somebody to tell me that. You know, like, what are you doing? Why are you doing that? Why are you seeking the attention of all these people around you? And I think that's, you know, being from a younger generation coming in, of course, that's what I wanted to do. In breaking, I wanted to learn all the spin moves because it got me liked. Head spins, windmills, back spins. And then when I got smoked by all the people who were doing foundation and flavor, then I couldn't be mad.
Yeah.
You know? I had to appreciate that, you know, somebody took time to put on, you know, swaths.
Right.
You know, service with a smile.
Refine themselves,
Yeah. I mean, even with Russell and I, it happened like complete misunderstanding. Like every time I was dancing, like this dude kept jumping in my face. You know? I was like, who the fuck is this guy? You know? And I started to get bothered by it, you know? And I just fucking got in his ass. You know? I was just like, dude, I didn't come here with you. Don't you see me here with a lady? And my good shoes on? And you trying to battle, really?
I didn't see any of that.
You know, exactly. He didn't see nothing. He didn't see nothing.
It was dark. I couldn't see the alligator.
No, honestly, it just took me to get him out of that environment and say, hey, what you need? And he's like, I'm just inspired, man. Like, I see you doing something cool, and I want to do something cool too. I'm like, can we do that a different way? Can we, you know, it took communication. It took communication, and that's all it takes. Yeah. Like to try to be community. Like you have to find a way outside of assumptions and innuendo and gossip. You have to go to people and try to find a way to get along. You know? And you can't like poke the bear and then get mad when you fucking get clawed.
Right.
You know?
We had a lot of those conversations. And I think that was the biggest turning point in the DMV scene was those conversations never happened. People were trying to solve problems, personal problems on the dance floor, and then didn't know what to do when it was all broken.
Yeah.
And so we would still show up in the same space, but then create new circles, and like it was just so trauma driven. It was just so messy. But it wasn't until the conversation started, and not all those conversations where we were like all ready and at the same, like in the same place to receive the information. Like sometimes we'll have a talk and it goes way over their head. It's like it's almost too much information right now for this young person or for them at that moment. But it started, and we were doing it so often that even that was like, damn, you know, a huge change for this scene. Even in our group, like difficulties, you know, but the conversations are there.
Yeah.
And we take space when we need to, but we come back, but we have the conversation. And this is so fucking important. If we can do that more often. Like what you were mentioning, Ryan was mentioning about coming up in a white neighborhood, that's all you saw, that's all you knew. For me, it's just the opposite. You know, coming up in the projects in New York City, that's all I seen and all I knew was black and Puerto Ricans and Dominicans. So actually, it wasn't that he lined up with the perfect mentor and we had this great communication. It took years to find that.
Yeah.
We actually had to learn each other, you know, and we were going way over each other's heads in the beginning. Exactly. There were times where I was like, fuck this guy. I don't want to deal with this. I don't, you know, because I had a certain code on how to speak, on the way I crack jokes is too forward. It was like, it was too much. It was like, whoa, this is a lot of information. And just the opposite, you know, we had these things and we were missing each other. But the more we spent time breaking bread, staying over each other's houses, training dance, talking off the floor about other stuff, we learned each other. Right. We learned each other.
Right.
And it was over time. Our maturity kicked in. We got wiser. We started experiencing other people and different things. We come back and we learn more about each other. Because we shared those experiences from the separation back in this thing. So it builds on top of each other, but through the years. And the DMV scene misses that because off of one spark of whatever bullshit myth or drama or who said what, the he said, she said, people just, they go and they hide and they choose a side. And then they believe in whatever this person is saying there, and then this person is believing in this, but they never come back and go, did you really say that? Oh, you didn't? Oh, dang, I didn't even know that part of the story. I didn't even know you were going through that at that time. I'm sorry. I fucked that up, you know? Or, damn, you fucked that up. You know, what? But you talked about it. You know what I mean? And a lot of that's not happening here in the DC scene. People ain't talking. Shit, globally. Forget DC, but globally, people ain't trying to have the conversation. They talk with their bodies on the floor, but we're human.
Yeah.
Get that shit out. Like, what you feeling? And if you angry right then, like if that's how you feel honestly, then cool. But come back when you feeling right and talk again when you're ready.
But
you know?
It's one of those things where it's like, dance wise and in conversation, the conflict is unnatural. Like, it doesn't feel good. And if it doesn't feel good, now people think I don't have to deal with it.
Yeah.
Like, if it's uncomfortable, it's like, oh, nah, like, well, I don't know.
Yeah. Well, you have to deal with it eventually.
Right. How far are you going to go with that? With anything you do? Well, it doesn't feel good. So, that's that spoiled shit. It doesn't come to you easy. You got to work for it. And that work, it takes time.
See how I line that up?
And I feel like we also have to get rid of this idea that everybody who's dancing in our communities mean well. Let's start there. Some people don't mean well. Some people have an agenda. Some people are selling something that's not healthy. Like, and if we can just be open to just say, well, you know, it's easy to make a bad decision about something, then we should be very careful about what we buy into. You know, we have people in this community that like inherited beef from 2005. You know, like you just inheriting stuff. Like somebody told you this, so you pick a team. Like literally, like 12 years ago, when like we incorporated urban artistry, it shook up DC.
I've seen it.
You could be in culture shock, or you could be in line to be in LOZ, or maybe you could like be in one of the dance programs at the colleges and universities that you did not go to. Like, it was just that bland. You know? It's true. That's what was available. All of our elders, like guys like Brent, Sonny, like those guys in particular were people who didn't even fuck with each other anymore. So, like, you had these different camps of understanding and thought, then backed up by actual fighting and like, you know, some really disrespectful stuff, you know? So I came into this place where I knew these two guys and I knew all of these people in this area, but none of those people were in service to any other communities, you know? And then the other dance programs you had to audition for. You had to audition for. So if you were good enough, they would let you in.
Or put you on a freestyle team.
Or put you. Oh damn! No, they didn't have. They didn't have a freestyle team back then.
No,
that wasn't. No, that was like a couple years.
That was later.
That was later. That was like 2009, 2010.
Yeah.
Like at first they didn't. Either you were on or you were out. So my mentality. No, dude. Let's spit truth. Let's spit truth. My mentality was like, look, I'm an excellent fucking educator. I can teach people. So you don't have to be dope. You just have to be willing. And everybody didn't hit the scene dope. They had jokes about you. You know, like they had jokes about you, like, and even people who are our friends now were people who didn't necessarily support these young group of kids. Like, and when you guys started teaching, maybe you were not at that level that you should have been teaching. But I knew that unless I gave you a chance to, you could never self-actualize. That professionalism wouldn't fall out of the sky and hit you in the head. You had to build towards it. So provide the opportunity and just build, continue to educate.
And I'm going to be straight. I didn't believe in none of that shit at all. It was like, what is this guy talking about? Is he selling me some fucking hoop dreams? You know, like, I'm having a hard time living. You know I want to do something, but I had to believe. I had to work for it.
Right.
Yeah.
Because the action was there. It wasn't that he was just talking. You know, me and Russell didn't get along. We were in the same spaces. Modern, Dragonfly, Sky Lounge, Five, Angelou,
Raves,
Red, Nations. We were in the same spaces. We weren't getting along, you know. In fact, it was Boogie Nights, Liquid Pop Collective here, and then all the B-boys there. At Modern, if I came in, me and Brad would come into the club, or me by myself, because when I turned 21, I was going out by myself a lot. If I start dancing, everyone would leave the circle. I didn't know nobody. It's some.
What the fuck was that?
It's some real shit. And so I had like a vendetta. I was like, fuck beer breaking, fuck those mother. I came out strong with Hush Puppies. I was like, I'm gonna be a popper.
Where's the Hush Puppies?
I'm gonna be a popper.
The green
but we battled. This is a memorable battle. We battled at Dragonfly on a Sunday night when they moved the Red Party to Dragonfly, and we called them out. Me, you, Guo. Oh, that's when Guo wanted to battle Charles. Charles, and there's another one. Who's the other guy? Anyway,
Was it the from Warpath?
Yes, there's another guy from Warpath he wanted to battle, but it was you and Gio, and we were chasing. Remember, I was battling you, and you were running around the club. I don't even know if you remember that shit. But you did a solo. I came out, and you tried to walk away from the solo, like fuck that, and I followed you around the club. You remember that shit? I remember that shit. I fucking we went to Silver Diner. We went to Silver Diner. And a bunch of us, it was like 10 of us, Assassins Cap Crew. And we sat and we met. Some people were cool with the conversation, some people weren't. But what lasts is those conversations continue today. And we're so honest about that. Yeah, we were young, we weren't so mature about certain things and decisions, but we were trying to make a way, you know, and he helped us to be on a path. And even with the things that he was asking us to do, we were going off of it because we didn't believe and we were young, but we would always come back to it. But we listened, we put it in practice, and here we are, sitting here talking about it today, consistently.
It was weird because I was hosting B-Boy Jams in 06. I think I met you at GMU in 06, right? And so in the B-Boy community, not a B-Boy, whatever, met House at GMU. You know what I'm saying? He's from Virginia Beach. Chopped it up. It was cool. Shortly after, I'd go home. I'd come back 2 weekends later, and it's like bedlam, yo. Like, it's weird. It's like I come to, I think it was correctional facility. We came for a correctional facility, and then there's like beef. And it's like every time we left and came back, it was like a different set of beef. And we're like, and they're like, yo, you with them cats? Yeah. Like, they're our friends, like, you know. And it all came down to, like Rashaad said, it was all action.
You know what's crazy is that after that battle happened and we went to go eat, that's when Shake Off happened. Was right after that. So me and my sister-in-law went through a jam called the Shake Off in Baltimore.
The Blue Floor?
And then
Yeah.
So then it was like the B-Boy community was going to come. So they were coming. but then they didn't know these guys were going to come and perform. You know, so it was like you now have to see what they have to offer. You know what I mean? Without it being like, you know, like, oh, we're b-boys, we're going to separate ourselves. No, you got to see it now.
Yeah.
You know, you can't be in Baltimore without thinking about Baltimore club movement and these kids that are in the hood that are right down the street when you're talking about, like, bringing community together as b-boys. Like, you're not even going to those hoods and asking them about their foundations and what's native to them. But your crews, like your Baltimore crews or your DC crews, are home to Go-Go and Baltimore Club.
Right.
You know, you're not even going to include them in what they're doing. So how are we going to exclude, you know, popping and what they're doing and locking and house dance and all these other things, and then say that we can have a jam in the hood, and then you guys can make money off of winning this jam, so you can have your trailer that isn't really going to get you anything later. You know,
Right.
I'm just saying there was a lot of b-boy trailers that came out where it was like, I went to this jam, I went to this jam, I went to this jam. Look at my solo. Look at my solo. Look at my solo. And then everybody was talking about community. You know,
and then 2 clips at the end with no overdub music, so you can make sure you hear him hit the beats.
Right. Okay. So let's talk about the hip hop track they threw on the trailer that they couldn't dance to. You know,
right.
But let's claim it.
Dance to, like, you know what I'm saying? Like, let's talk about that.
But
so, like, we have another question from the YouTube live. It looks like they have their own AKA called Odd Eants. There's a space.
Odd Eants?
Yeah.
That's dope.
Like ODD Eants.
That's fire.
All right.
They probably rap, yo.
So, they probably rap.
Bars.
So the question was, it kind of plays into, like, being a dancer overall as opposed to just, like, you know, like, when you were referring to, like, when you were in China and you were like, yo, so are you a popper? And you were like, well, I'm a dancer, but I pop, yeah. You know what I mean? Like, so that whole, like, rhetoric and mentality. But, so their question was, so urban artistry wouldn't label classes as popping, hip-hop, locking, etc.?
Still tradition.
They're disciplines. Yeah, like you still have to learn each style.
I'm so confused.
That was the question. I'm just reading what I see on the YouTube.
I'm sorry. I'm not trying to be weird, but could you ask that question again?
You want me to read it again?
Essentially, they're saying, being that you label yourself as dancers, then why do you still have popping classes, breaking classes?
At the studio.
But okay,
so that you can identify a genre. Just that simple. Like, you know, yes, it's all different forms of dance, but if you're going to teach someone, you teach them by subject matter? Like,
I think he's
yeah.
confused because we were talking about us as a person, right?
Right.
Individually.
Yeah. Individually.
Not ourselves as
Yeah.
Yeah.
But it's not like if we're teaching a class, then of course we're gonna teach that discipline. You know, teach them discipline. And
Yeah.
that thing of what we're, you know.
Yeah, of course.
But
I
what
mean,
you do as a whole is
yeah.
dance.
Yeah. You know, that's the thing.
When you're teaching something that's
But it's the standardized test mentality again.
Yeah.
So they're thinking like that, but the idea of people being dancers first and doing style second is kind of foreign these days because people treat it like it's a sport.
Right.
Which sport did you sign up for?
Yeah.
You know, like, I'm
PAO
popping.
baseball.
That's
You know,
what.
position
That's
are you
why.
in?
That's why I'm
Right,
confused.
right.
I'm missing that. Okay, I get it. But no, like that's not. That's not us going back on something that we stand for. Like, I can identify myself as a dancer because I do more than one style of dance. Like, to answer the question. So when we're teaching people, we have to be able to start with a subject matter to build on. Like, if they decide to do just one, that's up to them. You know, if they want to do more than that, then we recommend it.
Word. So, effective immediately at Urban Artistry, all dance classes will be called dance class. You got dance class 1 at 5:30, dance class 2 at 6:15.
They're just defined by the days of the week and shit.
You can tell what style we talk by the price of
Wednesday dance.
Wednesday dance.
Welcome to my life.
You know, I think it's funny that people would ask us that. I mean, I dare somebody to ask that to Wiggles. You know, I dare somebody to be like, hey, Wiggles, you know, that footwork stuff that you do, that's popping only. You know, they wouldn't do that, but they would do that here.
Right.
You know,
it's the general like.
He said thank you for the question or answer, by the way.
I think people miss that. Like,
No, it's not their fault. They had a question, you know, like I didn't understand. So,
No, I mean,
but I'm good.
Like,
No,
I did.
So I have another one
from
Sam Righty. So his question was thoughts on dealing with issues on different dance traditions and generations coming together and having different rules and ciphers and battles etiquette.
Don't be an asshole.
It's either supposed to say so. Here's a little bit of confusion on my end because the last word says EDICT. I'm thinking he either means like it was a typo trying to say etc. or he was trying to say etiquette. I'm not sure if there can be some clarification. If you're still listening,
I'll jump in.
Yeah.
I'll jump in, and I'm not an authority on this, but you know, shits and giggles because we talked about this on the podcast before. Because most times when people have this question, it's in relation to flex or crump now being in the open styles arena, and as far as people touching and you know things that are okay in one community and not okay in the other. And I always say it always comes down to communication. Like if you go to a crump event, you're literally signing up saying, I know what this event is about. I know how you guys operate. So if you walk into that blindly and don't make it known, hey, I'm not comfortable with this, then you fall under whatever. If you're a crumper, you come to an open styles event or whatever is going on, you have to know that these people aren't comfortable with this sort of aggression or this movement. It all depends on where you are. Like I can't go to a country and be like, hey man, I can't go to Mexico and be like, yo, don't speak Spanish, that's weird. Like you can't do that.
I mean, that's true. That's true.
I mean, I've never experienced anything in the world or been in any community where I didn't need people's permission to touch them. Like outside of dance, I mean, you just can't walk up to people and touch them.
It's consent.
You know, like you have to know them or have some type of history with the person to know that it's okay. You know, especially if you're gonna touch them in an aggressive way or in a way that could be construed as I want to hurt you, you know? So, like, some things are just common courtesy, you know? Like, and being younger doesn't disqualify you from being involved in a tradition, you know? And neither does being older. Like, so the idea that this is, you know, these cultures, like, can only have young and old. Well, young people, where are you getting your information from? Old people, who carries your tradition? Whose legacy? You know, like that relationship is symbiotic. Like it needs to be together. Like it's unhealthy to continuously identify this as the old people and this is the young people. Like that's not helping anybody. You know, especially if you're too young to know how to do the art form. Like, where do you get that information from? Who helped you? Like, dude, I didn't know when I was 31 how to be a professional dancer at 45. I needed people's help for that. I needed to go through some things myself and pair it with the information from people who've actually been in those situations. Like, and that's how I grew. Like, young and old, it doesn't matter. Like, what matters is cultured. Those relationships are symbiotic. Like, we got to stop segregating and separating each other. Like, the older generation, it's not their fault, that the younger generation doesn't have all this privilege. Build your own shit, because one day all you young people will be old school too. Like, and you have to ask yourself, what did I do? You can say, I did nothing, because that's what people did for me. Or you can say, well, I didn't have much when I came up, so I'm going to make sure that my little homies, my community, people I care about, have the things that they need to do better than I did. Like, that thing it's toxic. We gotta cut it out. Like, old guys make mistakes. Young people make mistakes. Like, we're human. So, like, the idea is that we find a way to coexist. If not hook up and link and be down like full flat tires, like that, we get to coexist, like in a respectful way, that it honors our art forms and our communities.
Yeah. I think it's about respect as well, like, because, for instance, like with Crump, and I'm no expert on Crump, but there's certain things that, like, about segregation, right? Like, if you can't see that Crump music is inspired by hip-hop music, it's a little bit crazy to me. If you can't see the movement is inspired by clowning and hip-hop movement, it's a little bit crazy to me. But segregation, like if you just say, okay, well, hip-hop, and Crump is two different things, you can say that, but when do you say, but the connections is this? It's the same as me saying, okay, Boogaloo in Oakland isn't connected to jazz, when it is. They're inspired by Bojangles, they're inspired by the Nicholas brothers. Like, it's all interconnected, but it's the point where we get so segregated and we get so in our little world that we say, our way, this is our rule. So you say it so strongly that you can't be open to other people's rules. So it's about not seeing it as segregated and about respecting, like, the little differences, but also seeing that it's all connected in some way too. There's focus on the similarities, not the differences between the communities. I think that's what I would say for people.
That's dope. I like that point. Toyin, did you have something?
No, I had something. I'm trying to remember. I think I was just going based on, like, what you were talking about, Guerilla, with that, how each dance, each culture has something different, that goes with. So, like, even with breaking, b-boying, like, if you enter, somebody might give you a cop. You know what I mean? Because we've had an incident where something like that happened where people, were a little bit more physical and people got upset. So it's just like, understanding a little bit more about each culture too. Then you can't really be upset or mad about what happens in a way. But then there's a line, of course, and that's just etiquette across the board.
Right.
When things go a little bit too far, and when things
especially when you have so many different cultures and disciplines, like, sharing the same space, like finding that, like you said, that line to where there's just like, okay, like, we have to find some type of common etiquette amongst each other, or there should be this kind of common knowledge to where there is an etiquette that we share amongst each other, to respect each other and respect each other's space and how we move around each other. You know what I'm saying? And so, like, to approach it with a mentality of, like, okay, I'm not just bringing my thing here to exert on everybody else, or people should already know that this is what I do in my community. You know what I'm saying? Like, and just saying, hey, like, there's a common etiquette here. These are humans that I may know, I may not know. You know what I'm saying? Like, let's let, like, the first, rule being respect. You know what I'm saying? Whether it be an elder, whether it be somebody younger, whether it be a peer that dances in a different discipline that maybe they do touch, maybe I do, maybe that's in their community, but, like, there has to be a commonplace, like, there's plenty of examples of it, like, in everyday society where people, share the same space in so many in so many different types of dynamics that you know, people automatically have to flip and say, hey, like, I can't just be, you know, whatever I want to do, whatever I want to do while I'm here. You know what I'm saying? Like, I have to have this kind of understanding, you know?
But I think we want to make sure that we're not saying, too, that you have to water down your culture because you want to make it acceptable for everyone else.
Right.
You know what I mean? You want to make sure you're not saying that, too.
Yeah, that's true.
And it comes like, it's all the consent thing. Like, if you make it known, like, you walk up like, hey, bro, look, respect, you know what I'm saying? Dope exchange or whatever. I don't like being touched.
Yeah.
Straight up and down. Yeah. That'll alleviate a bunch of the problem. Now, if he still touches you, rock him in the Starbucks. But outside of that,
snack box.
You know, I mean that's because, I mean let's be real. A lot of cats who do these dances, they all don't come from stable, nice backgrounds.
Yeah,
they might have triggers.
Right.
You might touch them, and they might black out.
Right.
And then all of a sudden you're like, this dance is angry, and I don't understand it. And he just hit me for no reason. Right. All I was doing was dancing. No, you weren't, bro. You put your hands on the dude who probably killed somebody.
But I mean, I see a flip side too. It's like, if you're new to a space, please acknowledge that you are new to a space. Now, what I mean by that is if you walk, like, if I were to walk into a gospel church,
that's gonna be good.
I would know exactly what I'm expecting because I grew up in that.
Right.
Now, if I were to walk into a Catholic church, right, and if I didn't know, like, what that entailed, I would have to ask the people there, like, what's going on here? Instead of assuming that I should be at the front, at the altar, standing there, giving the prayer. And I feel like there's a lot of people in the community that are taking spaces and saying that I'm entitled to this position, whether it be in a classroom, whether it be at a panel discussion, talking about things that are black, where you should not be even, like, you're taking that space, or
you're a guest.
You're a guest. And it's okay to be a guest, but at least acknowledge it publicly that, you know, like, some certain situations where you see a pit bull in a room and then you're up there, like, standing next to the pit bull that's his teeth are all out. You're like, yo, is it gonna bite me? And then you get bit. Then you got trauma around the community and you're blaming everybody around you. Because you did the most obvious thing in the room.
The Catholic Church.
Yeah. I'm throwing out analogies.
I'm not gonna lie, yo. The picture of Russell in a Catholic, I was like, I'm waiting to see where this is gonna go to.
I mean, I'm not going to give the sermon in the Catholic Church. You know, that's that's how I see some people. I see them come into a space, and, you know, like with their house dance 101 in like a club that's like all black house music culture, and I'm like, yo, what do you didn't even ask people if it's okay for you to do that. You know, like, wipe your feet off at the front door.
Right.
You know? And then before you walk in, before you get in somebody's refrigerator, you get shot by uncle upstairs.
And don't pick nobody wild ass song, you know?
That turned dark.
You got caught at the end of the runway.
Because I was in a space and I didn't ask questions. And it happened.
It happened. I mean, it happened to all of us. You know, I think all of us can honestly say that something like that has happened to us. I mean, whether you were in the wrong space, wrong place at the wrong time, you know, and I think the honesty is what keeps you going. It's like when you can acknowledge it and say, yeah, I didn't ask anybody if I was, you know, are we in the Vogue battle right now? You know, they taking their clothes off. What category are we in right now? What does that mean? Sex siren? Yeah. You know, what you gonna crump now? What you gonna do? Right. Like you walked into the battle, you know, or I mean, and I think that dialogue when I first was introduced to like an all styles battle, like it was called a beat rock competition. You know, it wasn't even called an all styles battle. It was called beat rock, and then it went something else. I mean, then it went to all styles. and there was no dialogue between the communities of how that thing should work.
Right.
I didn't see like, you know, people like making phone calls and like actually coming together and saying, hey, you know, this is the difference between b-boying, and if you throw the cock, this could happen to you, versus like, a person doing light feet versus a dancer that's, you know, doing like go-go dances and beating your feet. People were like, what's cool to see, you know, battle in this type of format that is traditional to b-boys and poppers, and, you know, I don't think people really sat down and thought that thing through.
I feel it. I feel that.
It's like, what can I take for inspiration without really having to work for anything?
Right. So now you have everybody entering the all styles battles, whether it be modern dance and, you know, tap dance and ballet.
There's no real understanding of what it is, what all style battle is. What does that mean? Do it mean?
It means all lives matters of dance.
Oh shit!
I'm leaving.
Oh shit! Oh my gosh!
I'm out of here.
Hey, that's hey.
Okay, so check.
The old dusty trail.
Now you see why I'm always in trouble.
Okay, so check it. People want a hip hop battle, right?
Who doesn't right hand?
And people are like, okay, well, let's come together, let's have a hip hop battle, and then it hardly happens, right? In the U.S., let's talk about here, like, it hardly happens where there's like a hip hop battle local, right?
Right.
I think because we have so many different styles of hip hop. You know what I mean? We have so many sub-genres of hip hop that not a lot of the young kids do hip hop that people do in Europe.
New style, yo. Duh.
You know what I mean? Like,
Duh.
more of the subculture.
But it's in the music too. I mean, you can listen to Tupac, you can listen to Biggie, you can listen to Talib Kweli, Pharoah Monch, most of that.
Listening to that.
But listen. Like, it's a horse and cart thing, you know, like chicken and egg thing, you know. If you don't have a quorum or enough people in a said community or outreach to participate in a battle, like, then you don't have it.
Right.
But what people are doing is they want to have an event. They want to get people in the door, as many people as possible. So they just say all styles, so that people can come. You know, like, I don't.
Saying all styles are welcomed, and then they play all style music. That's what it means.
Where's all style music?
All style music.
Exactly. No, that's the thing. It's confusing.
Yeah.
Like, the information is not there, and that's what I'm saying. People got the cart before the horse. You know, it's like, what's driving this thing?
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
Like, how does this thing work? Like, and people have not clarified it, mostly because they got something to gain from it. And that's numbers.
Ambiguity is the name of the game.
Yeah, you know, like, it's a numbers game. Like, so if people wanted to, let's say, if tomorrow, if we had a Memphis juking battle, like, we decided to do that, like, how long of a time frame would we have to put before we had that battle so that people could come? Because if we just had it right here, you know, in the district, you know, like, there would be what? How many people come?
5.
Exactly. So, I mean, that's why people are doing, like, all styles battles, I think, you know. And what's dangerous to do, like, is to create a bunch of rules within that structure, because people always come back and say, I thought you meant all styles. You know, that meant all music.
But it is where a lot of people, they will enter and they'll not understand what they're being judged on.
Yeah.
So they'll go in thinking that, okay, if I'm a locker and I can lock to any style that you put on, then that's my all style.
Yeah.
Thing, you know? But then some people will judge it and be like, no, but you didn't do every style that was pertaining to that song.
Yeah.
You gotta do the song that, you know.
Sam.
Yeah.
Right?
I entered a jam in Atlanta, and afterwards I asked Construct, like, I lost a battle, whatever. It was fair. I asked Construct, I'm like, you know, what was he was like, "Yo, you're hip hop and popping whatever I was doing." He said some of it was like muddy, and I'm like, "Cool, whatever, I got that." I asked one judge, whose name I'll redact from this conversation, and she said the other guy did like 7 styles, and you did like 2, and I was like, "What does that mean?"
Right.
And then
That's where he's foggy.
shout out to my homeboy Quick, like who runs our crew in Atlanta and shit. He was like, "Fuck her, she never won nothing no way."
Out, yo.
So,
And I was like, "Cool."
but I also think like when you're judging a competition, you want to see a progression of movement,
Right.
not like your prelim run in the quarterfinals and a repeat of motion. Like people are doing that. It's like, especially I see a lot of the new generation dancers doing it. They repeat the same things over and over again, and not like have variety based on like ideas and movement.
I mean, but that's anytime you throw an event, man. That's why it's simple. I agree with Toyin. You know, you set the rules. You know, you tell people what the parameters are. You know, and you let people compete within that structure. You know, it just shouldn't be like bland. You know, like, and yeah. But like I said, people keep it bland because they want the numbers. They want more people to come in. The more people that come in, the better. Like it's how it works.
Do
Like,
you think a start could be like if you're saying like to instead of just having this bland structure, and you know what I mean? Like, do you think a start could be like, hey, this is the music, this is the type of music we're gonna play. You know, you can bring yourself to this type of music, but this is the type of music we'll play. You know, we'll play hip hop, like. But even nowadays, hip hop is like kind of skewed now. When you talk about playing hip hop at a like a competition or a battle or jam or something, you know, like as like the younger generation kind of like has, you know, come up with other new styles of hip hop, like musically. But like, do you think that'll be a start though, in saying like, yeah, this is the type of music we'll play. You can bring yourself to that, but you know, like. That's like
I think
that's a start.
I think it's a package deal. Like if the parameters of the type of battle that you're doing doesn't match the community that you're inviting, like, and also includes the judges being all on that same scope, you're gonna have the same problems over and over and over again.
Right.
That's why when you say, "Hey, we're having a house dance battle," you know, like. You hire house judges, you know, like you play house music, you know, like, and before then you reached out to all the house dance community, asked them to come. Like, people know that there'll be different ideas and thoughts and opinions. Yeah, that's fine. But for the most part, the thing is the thing. When you say the thing that we're doing it means everything, you know. I hate when like it's at an all styles battle and like the judges are only people who do 1 or 2 styles. Like, you know, if they don't know how difficult it is to do the thing that I'm doing, like, how can they judge me on that? Like, how do they know my level of not expert? You know, like, how do we gauge that? Those things just need to come together. I'm not mad at people who do all styles battles. Like, I'm just saying, when it doesn't make sense and it looks botchy, it looks botchy. But I actually think that a lot of people, there's a huge number of people who like those kind of things, because like it's like gambling. You know, you can just come in and who knows what kind of day you're gonna have, and you could win. Like, the win is the goal. Like, people want to win. You know, like, it's not about the journey. You know, they just want to win. You know, and they don't, and people don't know the responsibility of it. You know, you win, and then what next? More money, more problems. Like, soon as you do something dope, like, and people recognize you for that, then come the wolves. You know, people want to tell you what you're doing wrong, like what you should do differently.
Rob you outside the venue.
So
Robbie, what's up, baby?
we have
in his neighborhood.
We have another question from an interesting name, the Blasian.
All right, yo.
206. So I'm assuming he's black and Asian from Seattle.
Right on.
So
Deduction, sir. Brilliant deduction.
So the question is, how did you guys determine what style you wanted to focus on as your main style, if the objective is to be a dancer, I guess, as a whole? So what he's saying is, he reiterated, he said, I mean, if the objective is to just dance without too much focus on limiting yourself by being too strict in a style.
Who said that?
The Blasian.
No, but no one hears.
No,
that-
I think that's the general thought. Like, people think, like, because you say I'm a dancer, I do a lot of things, then that makes you somehow limited. You know, like somehow, like you have you don't respect all of these styles because you haven't committed to them with everything that you are. And like, I come from a time, like in this dance history, that like if you just did one style of dance, you didn't work. Like, or you were a ballet dancer. And then, you know what I mean?
Right.
Like in these styles of movement, like for respect and to be considered by your community, like you had to know more than one thing. So like, I don't come from a time where you were less when you knew more.
That's
You know.
funny. Like, I feel like we didn't want to limit ourselves when we said we're dancers, and then it seems like everybody's trying to limit us.
Exactly. You know what I'm saying? That's what we're trying to say to you. We're trying to say, look.
Like, we just try no matter what.
Dude, I mean,
Get in this box.
I do 8 styles of dance. I do 8 styles of dance, like, and I love them all. You know, I love them all. Like, and when I hear a song, I get in where I fit in. You know, like I use my tools to interpret music with movement. Like, that's what I do. Like, so if it's a song that I don't have a tool for, guess what I do? Sit my ass down. You know, that ain't me. Like, I don't do that. But I'm gonna look at my homie and be like, oh yeah, you got that. Let her do that. Yeah, that's dope. You know? Like, I don't feel like every time that, you know, people are expressing, I have to be there and I have to show them how I dance and who I am. You know, like, yeah, you can respect different things. Like, nobody does that. People don't go to college and get a degree and then forget everything that they learned. You know, people take it with them. They take the knowledge and they use it. Like, I want to use my dance knowledge. You know, I don't want to box it in, and I definitely don't want to say I'm strictly one thing. That would be disrespectful to my teachers, like to my students, and to my ancestors. Like, for that movement that I embody. You know, like, I don't think we have to sell ourselves short. You know what you know. Just be honest. If you only do one style, then that's totally fine if that works for you. You know? But don't vilify people who are like, yeah, I like to do a lot of different things. You know, don't make us greedy.
It's just like ice cream. I like a lot of ice cream, but I mean, but like chocolate's maybe like my favorite. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's like that.
Butter pecan chocolate deluxe. Even Caramel Sundae.
Like we like a lot of things, but you always have one that's like your favorite. That's like
3 weeks. 3 weeks dairy free. I don't appreciate that ice cream teasing. All right, I was like, I like ice cream. You know, I'm like, damn. I love that analogy.
I just want to give a quick shout out to Garrick. I just want to let him know I see him and shit. Like, he gave me some comments. Like, this is pretty long one, so I might not read them right now. But
Who's that?
Garrick.
Hey, what's up, man?
Yeah.
Poseidon in the house.
Word. Alright. No, that was so. There were like 14 reactions when Russ said the All Lives Matter dance. Everybody started like,
I don't know if we're going to survive that one.
I want to turn the direction real quick, unless you have a question. You have a question?
There's no more on this.
All right, so we've been. I was talking to me 187 like not too long ago, and we were having the conversation about how, like, when the bigger like world incorporated b-boy jam started coming around, like Silverback and the Red Bull and all that stuff, that they started making music to kind of, save themselves from copyright infringement and things like that, and to be safe. But the music itself, even though some cats are making some dope stuff, it's still very one note. Like, do you feel that people should forego, like, the social media aspect of dance so the jams can have better music and a more well-rounded thing instead of having to deal with the copyright joints to make sure you get online and get views for whatever?
So what do you mean by social media aspect of dance?
Like, they live stream it, so if you live stream it, or there has to be certain
parameters you gotta fit.
I think there's ways around that. You get the professionals to actually play the music live.
Yeah.
You won't get a copyright problem. You're actually supporting an artist that should play for them, that should play the genre that they've been working for and like and working in, but people aren't going to invest in that because it's, they only invest in themselves.
Right, like I personally felt like it was like money driven almost. Like, to be safe, like, we need to play this music so we don't get caught up anywhere. We can post it everywhere we need to post it, as opposed to like, let's just play good music and let people get down.
Yeah, I don't know. Like, I've had this conversation with a few people, like, in the industry, and as a cultural preservationist, like, I'm kind of like, no, we need a good mix of the old and the new, like, to keep it whole, But at the same time, I understand and I respect what other people are trying to do, to say, let's show the world what it is that we do. That being said, like, I do fear that, like, if the dance powers the music, if the music powers the dance, right? Like, that some of these things will be lost, like the meaning and the essence of what the genres are originally meant to inspire is just going to be lost because the music's different, especially when it gets, like, really techie. And it's like, so I mean, I'm still contemplating it, but, like, I don't want to throw shade on those organizations, like, for doing what they do, mostly because, things need to change, like, but we can be a part of that change. If dancers, like B-boys and B-girls, were, like, saying, hey, look, this is what we want, I'm sure people would do it. Like, if the consumer drives the market, and we're talking about business, right? Like, then you do what the people want, and people would do that, Like, and I don't mean, like, boycott, No, I just mean ask, Like, just say, hey, look, can we do this? It'd be dope if we have this kind of artist,
Right.
Like, or maybe, like, people just need to get a hiatus, have a hiatus and, like, start, like, building that catalog of music that they need. Maybe it'll take a little time, for that music to build up. Like, there's definitely times throughout history that within genres of music that, like, it just had some bad years. Yeah. Like, you can look at, like, funk and, in the mid 80s and see that it was kind of doing some strange things. Like, and as people were trying to add new ideas to it, but it created new art forms. You know what I mean? So I'm on the fence about it, but I do want to recognize that it does impact people and how people move.
Yeah.
Like, it does, but I'm not hardcore about it, like, I'm trying to be in a place where I treat organizations like people and give them opportunity to change, like, and, kind of, realize what it is that they're trying to do and who they want to be, and let them make that decision for themselves, like.
Yeah, I think that's definitely a good question and point, from both of you, like especially we talk about like inclusion in our artist communities, like it's important to really like think on those levels, really, of like, hey, like just past the dance and like whatever, like the music, like and the atmosphere behind it and the business side of it, like, and
because there's, we take this stuff for granted because it's not really, what we face all the day, all the time. But there are people like who did those songs that aren't getting royalties for it.
Right.
The record labels are getting. So we're enjoying their music, using it to identify ourselves. How are we changing that problem? Like how we're allowing people and their intellectual property to be represented, respectfully. So it's an issue, and it's something that I think that, people can change, like, and I think it's a responsible thing to say, okay, we'll make our own music, so that we can do all of these things. For the purists or the traditionalists, that might be a bit of an issue because, sometimes you might want to hear some of that old, But I know artists now today who have albums and don't have the rights to any of the music, so it's going to somebody else. At least this is an opportunity to create an economy,
right.
of artists, who are creating a niche. So I don't know. I'm in and out.
I think that's good. Oh, okay. The Blasian said thanks for the answer as well.
Shout out to Valsan from Valsan. I said it wrong.
Yeah.
I say stuff like Mad American sometimes, though. Like, it is terrible. I feel bad.
Vizan!
Right.
Vizan. So the second hour is actually over on both of these joints.
Oh, okay. Well, it'd be alright. I ain't about to
it's cool.
It'd be alright. Peace to all my peoples, and you know what I mean? But I ain't got time for that. So like, yeah, like, damn, yo, this has been some topics for that ass. Some topics for that ass.
Cultural appropriation.
Let's get back into like
cultural appropriating ice cream. Toyin was like, yes, ice cream.
All the food talk is really making me angry because I didn't eat a damn thing this morning.
we had mediocre bagels.
Yeah, very mediocre.
Coffee was fine though.
Let's get back into like some bigging ups and like, stop shouting some people out. Like, so on the show, on the Thread Count podcast, we usually take time to highlight some of our favorite dances. But we usually pick one per person. Favorite dancers of maybe the past week or the past month or the past year, or just somebody that's on your mind right now that you like, I've been seeing a lot of them and they've really been standing out to me, or like I appreciate their movement a lot. So, we call it Dancer of the Week quite simply, and like, So I wanna get into that and see like who you guys have for some Dancers of the Week.
Oh shit! Hey yo, I'm gonna take the ill cop out right now, yo. I'm gonna take the ill cop out. My Dancer of the Week is Rashaad, yo.
Oh. Okay.
But it's for a reason. We watched the footage from the 2v2 in China last night.
Oh yeah, we did.
Oh my god, yo, Ryan bugs out. We understand Ryan bugs out. Ryan's like years ahead of everybody. But this cat here, I don't know what was in that cup, fam. Hey, yo.
What was in the cup?
Yo, my man was in his bag, yo. Like the way he was playing with the rhythms was so like I cursed at work out loud. I had the video playing. I was like, shit! Like yo, like, it was crazy.
That's an open kitchen. Like,
It's an open kitchen, yo. Your chicken to be ready in a second, lady. Hold on, yo. Like, hey, yo, but yo, and gee, yo, it was unreal, yo. It was unreal. It's so crazy to have the influence of the best two-man team in the history of popping. That was said by a legitimate person. More on that in front. In the history of popping. What? The best two-man team in the history of popping. Someone said that. Shout out to J-Rock. J-Rock said it. He doesn't like anybody.
In the history of popping, yo.
But yeah, no,
maybe he's just saying like, you know, great like duo, you know what I mean?
Yeah. But no, but it was hey yo, but that clip, like I've said it before, man, like the all the Juice to Boo solos where people could just really take time out and be like, oh, I'm gonna take it easy, you know what I'm saying? I've been traveling and my man lit it up with a different flavor every stop. And it's like it's unreal. I still don't like you, but
It's all right.
you're dancing straight though.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
That sounds familiar. I appreciate your movement. You know, like he's good as a dancer. I just don't like him as a person.
Right. Like everybody else.
That sound familiar?
Join the club. Join the fan club. Start an Instagram page.
Damn, you can dance.
Any other got dancers of the week or whatever
Dancers
you want to shout
of
out?
the week. Cynthia from Bandita's crew.
Oh, okay.
She's tight.
Okay. Cynthia Bandita.
Yeah, we were in Poland together for an event called Infinite Force, and yeah, I'm just a fan. She's like super dope. She just did she was judging something in the UK, and her judge showcase was hella musical, like that same thing that you're talking about with rhythms and stuff. And there's not a lot of poppers, dancers, poppers, whatever y'all want to say, that are moving that way. And you can see she has a lot of dance in her, and it's more than a popping perspective. Yeah, so she's the week, the month. I don't know. It's been since December or longer.
This is the week.
It's the week.
Jet lag. That's the week.
All right.
Go ahead, yo. It was on your heart.
Yeah, you know it.
Yeah.
Well, I have two. Of course, Angela. Glad to.
I know that's right. Bit big up
Rock,
your
You know what I mean? Better do that.
I don't care.
Look at get the points, yo.
Shit.
Shout out to Big Moms, yo.
No. Lunacy be putting it down. You know, that's her dance name. Misty Rocker is her beadwork. You know, that's
Yeah.
for her artist.
What's her dance name? Lunacy?
Lunacy.
Oh shit.
So yeah, she be getting it in like through through the thick of it. My second is Grap Lover right now. I've been doing a lot of research on this cat, and his freestyle and hip hop is like, it's ridiculous.
Say his name again?
Grap Lover. So that's Pete Rock's little brother.
Word up. Dope.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
Yeah, alright. I was trying to decide between two. There's two OGs that come to mind that have really, really, really inspired me a lot, and they don't get a lot of credit. But I talk about them a lot, so I'm going to talk about them right now. The first is Sensei Bop from the LA Boppers.
Right.
This dude is like so musical and so free with his dance. And he's also like really into tutting. And I think I get a lot of inspiration from the way he dances with his tuts and puts rhythms and directions and levels with his tutting style. It's really nice, really unique. He has a really nice waving style. And he's a super smart, cool guy. Like, he was down for the Preservatory interview. I just met up with him at his, he was selling Christmas trees. Actually, when I met up with him, I just met up with him at the Christmas tree spot. And we went to Burger King and just chilled. And
it's the greatest story ever.
Yo, watch the interview. If you haven't seen the Sensei Bop interview, Preservatory, it's really good because he's getting up and demonstrating like bopping. He's talking about the single bop, the double bop, the triple bop, and he's like talking about all these epic battles that he had with Flat Top and battling Pete and Shrimp, I think. It's a really good interview, but shout out to Sensei Bop from the LA Boppers. And then gotta give a shout out to Thomas, of course. House's mentor of myself and Rashaad and others. Probably one of the most influential dancers, poppers in Europe, hands down. Inspired Storm. Inspired all of Germany.
That's a crazy statement, yo.
I mean, yeah. I mean, go check the videos. Like, he's the guy that was leading the way in Germany with popping. But I spent like a month. I was just in Denmark training with him, and he's phenomenal. Like, every time it impresses me every time. He's so good, and he has an ability to like watch something and he can like he soaks it up so quick. Like he's just a natural mover. He sees something, he can do it. And so like when I show him a move, I'll be like, oh, I was thinking of this, and then he's like, oh, like this, and like he'll try to do it like me, but he can't because he's so Thomas. He just Thomasifies it, and then I'm like, damn, you just made it like 10 times better. Like then I was trying to do it like him after that. So he's really inspiring, awesome guy. Definitely big part of our legacy. So shout out to Sensei Bop and Thomas.
Word.
Old water, or is it you? This was.
Heavy gangster, make yourself gangster. Some gangster shit.
You know what? I guess I would say Latasha Barnes. Yeah, I want to give her a big shout out. No, this lady is like killing it out there. She's like traveling the world, doing amazing things. In the jazz and Lindy Hop community, she's like, it's amazing to see how she's been dedicated to that, like threw herself into it and just really immersed herself into the culture of it, and has inspired so many people through it as well. You know, I'll travel around and see people and they're like, do you know Latasha Barnes? Like, she's so amazing. I'm like, yeah, that's my sis. You know, so it's dope to see how she's really touched so many people out there with what she's doing, and also being a black female in that community, you know, doing the dance is definitely not an easy one, knowing that it's mainly it's not a lot of black people doing it. So to see her doing that and pushing forward, as well as like being in school, dancing, traveling the world, like, and I'm so excited too about her being a part of summer dance too. Like, she came last year and like kicked butt, you know, showed that like she's still a part of the community, and like she's gonna be back judging as well. So I think it just shows how amazing of a person she is and how she's definitely grinding out there. So yeah, big shout out to her.
Let's run with this. Like, we got a filter on the joint. Like,
Taking ass.
Oh yeah, hold on.
Des, where you
Oh,
going?
you got one.
go ahead. I'll go last.
Clean up.
Yeah. Mine isn't really like a person. I think it's a community of people, and you know, I want to give a shout out to all my folks in the Bay right now. going through a little something, you know, and we don't have to itemize that. But specifically to RJ, Cody, and Tsunami, you guys are not who these individuals want to make you out to be. Keep doing your thing responsibly and respectfully, and this too shall pass. So keep your head up, get back to work.
I like that. I like that. All right, so I'm gonna run cleanup. I also have two dancers, and they're kind of just like our side by side. They are urban artistry heads, and like, you know, upon my visit like back here, been able to dance with them like numerous times throughout the week, and like really enjoy their movement and space and energy and life. So I'm giving my dancers of the week and my shout outs to Hannah and Leslie.
Fact.
We've been, like I said, we've been sharing and going back and forth, you know, multiple times throughout this week that I've been here, and not only on the floor, but just like, you know, like enjoying each other's company and having fun and just like really being what it's about. You know what I'm saying? So, like, and not to mention, like, they work hard here at Urban Artistry. You know, they do a lot, and they're teachers here, but they also like do a lot behind the scenes. So, yeah, shout out to them. Those are my dancers for this week.
Fam, like, Leslie's like transformation since like the first time I met her to like who was at the club last night is phenomenal, yo. Like she's hard. Like it's wild, yo.
So yeah, definitely. Like it's like it's really one of those things where, like I was saying, like sometimes you just see dope dancers and like it's like cool, like that's what's up. But then sometimes you actually enjoy being around people and like and just enjoy dancing with people, like just on some spirit shit, you know, like on just enjoying their spirit. So shout out to them, you know what I'm saying? Yeah. So before we like start wrapping this thing up, can we do like 2 like final questions and then that be it? And then like, is that okay with everybody?
Yeah.
Okay. So, first question I think comes from the Blasian again. And then his question was, how do you guys deal with rude, drunk, or aggressive people, or he said dudes, at the club that interrupt ciphers?
Hands on sight.
No.
That's not it. That's not the real answer.
I mean, I think when it comes to like the cipher and the club, I mean, first when you walk into a space, like acknowledge the security. You know, like don't just walk into the space being like, okay, just to your homies.
Yeah.
Like if you walk into the spot, you walk past the person who checks your ID, actually say hello to them. You know, because that could be the person who is getting someone off you if you're in a situation. Now, of course, you know, if last call is a certain time, you know, like in DC, like a lot of our clubs shut down at 2 o'clock. So know that last call is normally 1 hour before. So that means that's when that's the drunkest part of the night, you know. So like if you're ciphering hard and you're getting busy, the hardest that you want, you need to have your eyes peeled also on the people that are that are in your cipher. But yeah, I would suggest like, you know, acknowledging the security. I'm not saying security is going to save your life, but I'm just saying know where they are, especially when somebody is coming around that's belligerent or isn't making any sense. You know, like you had a conversation with somebody at the club and they're just not making any sense, and you're trying to reason with them over loud music. It's not even the time to have that type of conversation. So you're like, hey, put yourself in a position where you can be safe and your folks can be safe, and then everybody can walk away from it. I think that's the most responsible thing. And also, if you have new folks coming into the club with you, like that, it's not just you walk them into the club and be like, hey, it's a club night, and they just instantly go to Cypher. Realize like that your acknowledgement and you saying hello to the people that are already participating in the club is a big show of respect to the people that are already there, regardless if they're under the influence or drunk. But it's also for safety, so you can walk out of there not feeling like you ain't got folks around that are watching.
Hmm.
I think it's a case-by-case like situation. I think, you might have some people that are drunk and they have a drink and they want to jump into the circle as well and dance with everyone. And I mean that's fine. It should be fine. But the thing about it is, you want to make sure that they don't have to spill their drink and be sloppy and all the things. And I think maybe taking the person and telling them that, letting them know that, hey, we just want to make sure you don't spill a drink. We're dancing here. You can dance. Just grab a drink and do your thing. I mean, because actually that's all the people want to do. They want to just get in there and showcase as well, So letting them do that, and then after a while they'll stop and move off and go about their business again. So I think it's sometimes case by case.
Right.
Sometimes people can be really aggressive when you want to do that, when you want to try to explain to them, like, hey, this is what we're trying to do. They might be a little bit aggressive still, and then it just takes you to be like, hey, you know what, let's move our stuff somewhere else, because it's not, we don't have to try to start or try to teach this person right here and there when they don't want to learn or they don't want to understand what we're doing. Let's take our space somewhere else, and you do that.
Like, Mad Hearts just popped up on YouTube.
It's Leslie.
Okay.
Yeah, shout out to Leslie. Word. I think those are definitely good answers though. Like, so let's get this last question in. It's from Tam again. And her question reads, is funk music a part of a cultural phenomenon like hip-hop music to hip-hop culture? If so, is there a name, and are there any other pillars of that culture that funk is under, like hip-hop culture?
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, people popping and people locking, like, they were doing it to funk music, People b-boying, like, funk music. Like, that's not the foundation of, like, music in the diaspora, but it's the period of time where at least solid those three dances, like, came from. So, answer to the question is yes. Over the years, people changed that back and forth, and people have chopped it up and it's been codified, but yeah, like, hip-hop culture has actually co-opted all these other things, like, and brought it into itself. And a lot of elders, like people who are like in my parents' generation, like, really don't appreciate it, like, because it's like the equivalent of like 40 years from now, people referring to all the things that we do as like shoop culture, and you'd be like, what the fuck is shoop culture? Like, did you just create a new name, for things that already existed, So yeah, I didn't realize that a lot of people didn't know that. I thought that a lot of people knew that, like, there were a lot of dance styles that we do right now that come from funk music culture, like, and not hip hop or house or EDM.
I think that has a lot to do with, like, the research too. A lot of people aren't doing the research. Like, the Mexican for breaking, that if you look at the genre of that song, is rock and roll. It's not funk. It's not hip hop. it's rock. You know, that's why even the rock dance was done to rock and roll music, you know. So, but that also ties from funk predate, like, to like rhythm and blues and I mean, it just goes back. The term changes, but like even a lot of the funk artists who were putting out the records, if you listen to an album from the beginning to the end, you'll realize that in order for the record to sell, it had to have you know, an R&B track.
That's right.
It had to have a soul track.
That's right.
In order for it to be passed on, you know. So even though it might have been sold under, you know, the genre of funk, like James Brown had an orchestra at one point. He's done songs with Pavarotti, you know, collaborations and different, you know, different people. Now, just in music alone, if you were to take Jimi Hendrix, who everybody idolizes in rock and roll music, Jimi Hendrix was also a part of the Isley Brothers, you know, so funk, they were all genre jumping in order to make income for themselves.
You made crazy blues music too.
Right. So, I mean, and then their parents were listening to music too, so the influence of that was important. If you listen to Mary J. Blige, you're listening to funk, soul. And they're not, the sample isn't even changed, or it's like the original track just looped with like a heavier 808 beat.
And the dancery.
The dance. I was just thinking that shit. And that's why we dance. Yes, the dance is the same thing.
It's the same thing to dance.
Yeah.
But, I mean, yeah.
Word. Nah, yeah. So, okay, so before we start wrapping up, I just want to share this love that all the hearts that Will was talking about posted up on the joint. And it was Leslie showing love to everybody here, saying, I feel incredibly blessed to have found urban artistry and to be a part of this beyond phenomenal community. I have grown in so many ways that I did not think possible, and that because of all of you. You all inspire me to keep pushing, and you all have seen light in me that I did not. And I am eternally grateful for that, so I am going to keep pushing and keep showing up. Hearts, 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 hearts.
Mad emojis over there, B. They got poppers hands over there too, yo.
Much love, Leslie. Thanks for sending in that love and respect, for sure. So yeah.
All right.
Woo! We got another
CoFlow episode.
Sheesh. Another 2.5 on our hands. Like, we're gonna send it out with some music, or are we just gonna?
They won't hear it, but you will hear it in post. So we have a track of the week every week. Usually it's 2 of them, but we all collectively kind of got together, 3 of us, and decided.
That's community right there.
It's community, and and also ironically, due to copyrights, we want to get popped in the joint. So we chose a track by our homie and a crewmate, Baron Hawk Portier. He posted a new joint last night, which is, I think it was last night. I saw it last night. That's what we're going to go with. Called Rasta Style Flower Child. CHYLE, child.
His names are always epic.
They are. Baron Hawk is, and everything he's been producing has been crazy. Like, so I'm sure y'all will enjoy it. We will post the link to the song in something, so y'all can enjoy that. If you're listening to the podcast on any of our streaming platforms, then here it is. Baron Hawk Portier, Rasta Style Flower Child on the Thread Count podcast.
Oh, we just plugging it in the post?
Yeah.
I was looking at you like,
yeah. Everybody's like, got the Pootie Tang joint, like. just fake listen to the music. We'll put it in a second.
Word. Well, shoot.
That's it.
Yeah, we wrapping that up. We wrapping this thing up. Thanks for all the questions. Thanks for all the questions.
Man, we ain't done yet.
We're still on.
Thank you for all the questions that came through on the Funk and Focus Live YouTube. Thanks for our brothers and sisters, Toyin and Ryan, aka Future,
Great White Hope,
Russ, aka Iron Man, House, Rashaad, and of course our black asses. We appreciate that. Look, man, I'm trying.
The hair says black, but the skin says.
Harsh.
Don't show God, yo. Talcum X.
Did you call him Talcum X?
No, I said it on something. But that's the first comment that popped. Yo, oh my gosh.
Oh, man.
Oh, that's so crazy.
Yo, y'all know where to find the damn podcast.
Right?
It's gonna be on Apple. It's gonna be on Spotify. It's gonna be on Google. Ryan, do you want to let them know how all the?
I'm getting blown up.
Getting
Getting blown up.
That's what happens when you got your phone connected to your computer.
And,
I wish I had friends.
yeah, so this will be posted on Funk and Focus YouTube. We'll put the link on Facebook within the next week. We'll link the song, Baron's track. Check out the Urban Dance and Dialogue every Sunday. Soon we're going to start breaking it up into smaller episodes that'll be coming out more often. But right now, check us Sundays and at Future Assassins on the Instagram, Funk and Focus on the YouTube. Also follow at Urban Artistry DC. Check us out, Urban Artistry, on Facebook as well. And
Take a class.
At what's your guys' Instagram? At your thread count?
At what's your thread
At
count?
what's your thread count?
Emails for any questions or free things you want to send us. Threadcount73@gmail.com. And yeah.
And let us know if you want us to do this again, because I kind of feel like we should do this.
Man,
We should, yo.
man,
Like a monthly thing.
this is
I'm ready to go.
this is great. So
That's a lot of flight tickets for you.
that's a lot of flight tickets.
Just move back.
That's my man's now. I'm not we got that, yo.
We done solved the goddamn problem.
Shit, now what?
I'm coming to Rashaad for all
It's only like a 5-day trip across the country, man. You got it.
You know I got a full family too.
Try to help you save money on those flights.
Word up.
Yo.
Yo, this is great, man. Everybody in this joint is so hungry that we're delirious. So, let's get the fuck out of here. But before we go, don't ever... Before we go, don't ever forget to ask yourself, what's your thread count?